Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Guns N' Roses Central. We're just catching up on the last month and a half worth of news. So it came out earlier this month that a new Guns N' Roses book is coming out this fall, more specifically in September. So a fan on the My GNR forums noted this listing. So according to Barnes & Noble's website, the book is titled Dead Straight Guide to Guns N' Roses. It's written by Mick O'Shea. Now O'Shea has previously written a number of books on rock and roll, and he even wrote a book on Guns N' Roses back in 2008 called The Guns N' Roses Encyclopedia. Whether it's a reprint of the book, who knows, but you can actually go to the website on Barnes & Noble's, and here's what it has to say. It says Guns N' Roses, or GNR, is one of the biggest selling rock bands of the past 30 years. Formed in 1985, their first album titled Appetite for Destruction followed 2 years later. With many star performers including Slash, Axl, Izzy, and later drummer Matt Sorum, the band has always had a high profile, and Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, recorded simultaneously and released in 1991, debuted at number 2 and number 1 on the Billboard charts respectively, and have sold a total of 35 million copies worldwide. They goes on to say the band is currently on a massive world tour, and with talk of a new album has never been more popular. So I'm guessing it's probably just like another unauthorized biography about the band, and just probably somebody trying to cash in on the fact that the band is, reunited, and maybe there's going to be new music. But as we get more information on this, guys, you can go check it out. I've put the link down below if you guys want to go check out the Barnes & Noble's page, or even if you want to pre-order it. We've got an update on Steven Adler. So, of course, you guys know, like in the last couple of weeks, he was in the hospital, and he released a statement on Facebook, and he's been actually playing with his band, Adler's Appetite. So it seems like everything's good, but he blamed media confusion over the different reports we heard. So here's the video from Facebook he put up.
Just finished up a busy day in the studio. All of a sudden, I get a surprise visit from my buddy Steven Adler here, coming out to support me for my Sunday show.
Of course.
And here he is.
And I'm Steven Adler, and I'm really sorry about all this media confusion that's been going on. I'm alive and well. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody July 12th at the Gold Nugget in Vegas, and July 13th at this motorcycle rally in Oregon, which is going to be bad to the bone. And I love everybody, and I can't wait to see and hug everybody. And thank you so much for your love and support.
And watch on his Facebook page for all the upcoming shows, because they're still on. Not one has been canceled.
Not one.
There was a recent interview with a concert booker who works for the Brooklyn Bowl. His name is Lucas Sachs. He was interviewed by Billboard recently, and he talked about landing some of the biggest talent who's played the venue. And one of those bands was Guns N' Roses, who played the Brooklyn Bowl back in 2013. He said the following about GNR. He said, "I love being able to talk to bands about the creative aspects of what they're doing, how a new record is different from the last one, and how they got their live sound," Sachs explains. "We have to do our best to set them up for success at the venue." So after joining the Bowl as an assistant talent buyer, Zakk says his first big get was the Guns N' Roses show in June of 2013, which also marked a major turning point for the venue itself. Now, the band was headlining the Governor's Ball that summer, and their contract allowed them to play one other gig while in town. Now, having performed club shows at venues like the Hero Ballroom back in the day, the band thought about announcing a last-minute show at the Brooklyn Bowl would be, as they put it, a cool way to give back to the fans, Zakk says. And amid tough competition from a myriad of other venues in New York, he also thinks the Bowl's varied offerings, including a bar, a restaurant, and a 16-lane bowling alley, appealed to musicians who were looking for something unique. He said, "When we got the call," he adds, "we were like, oh man, we have to make this work." So to pull off a stadium Guns N' Roses set in the Bowl, Sachs had to wrangle approval from the Governor Ball founders. They had to host multiple production walkthroughs and build out the stage to accommodate all the band's gear. He said, "There were all these red flags," Sachs remembers. "I thought we weren't going to be able to do it, at least do a size of that show. But the tickets sold out instantly, and the morning of the show date, Sachs arrived at work to find hordes of concertgoers camped outside the venue, many of whom have driven hours from neighboring states." So Sachs looks back and thinks that Guns N' Roses show set a new bar for the Bowl, helping land other major talent, including Jane's Addiction, Robert Plant, as well as other music legends. Turning now to some Zakk Wylde news. He, of course, was jamming with Guns N' Roses back in the mid-90s, and he gave an interview recently to the Musicians Institute, and they have a series called the Conversation Series, and he talked about what it was like to jam with Slash and Guns N' Roses in early 1995. He said, "I'd known the guys on and off for years when I first came out here to California, and I started playing with the boss," referring to Ozzy. He said, "So I met Slash and I met Duff, and we became friends and everything like that. And that's when Guns was starting to blow up. So I've known the guys, and obviously when I ran into them now and then, we were all drinking, and it's always good to catch up with the guys and everything like that. And I know Steven Adler's as well. So then after I met Matt Sorum, he was playing with the Cult, it's a small group of people that you end up running into and you just become friends and stuff like that. He said the guys were talking one day and Axl Rose was telling me, and I'd never met Axl Rose before, and Axl was saying him and Slash were talking like, who else do we want to get on guitar? And he continued, and I guess my name came up. And they said, why don't we just get Zakk? What's going on? And Axl was like, all right, I'll call him up. So Axl ended up getting my phone number and called me up saying, hey, Zakk, man, it's Axl. I just wondered if you wanted to get together and jam with the guys. And I said, yeah, no problem. So we ended up jamming. We were recording Osbourne's 1995 album Osmosis at the time. And so we were jamming on and off. We were recording the record and we were doing Osmosis, having a blast doing that. And in between, I'd come back out to LA. I'd end up hooking up with the guys. And we basically just go jam down at a rehearsal hall. So it was just ideas floating around, but nothing was happening there with the Guns guys. And then Oz was going, Zakk, listen, we're going to get ready for a tour. Are you going to jam? Oz was like, you can do both, but Zakk, I got to have an answer. If you're going to be jamming with them and me, the ship leaves 12 o'clock Monday. Are you going to be ready to go or not? And I couldn't get an answer from the fellows, and everything was up in the air. And Oz was like, I've got to get somebody else in here, man. So I'm like, so that was it. So I was just sitting around going, what am I going to do? I've got all these riffs laying around. I'm not playing with Ozzy right now. I'm not doing the GNR thing. And then I came up with Black Label Society. So that's basically how Black Label was born right there. I was like, what am I going to do? Because I did the Book of Shadows thing. And I was like, I'm not ready to go become a singer-songwriter, the James Taylor kind of thing. And I'm not ready for that as much as I love doing it. I was just like, I want to do riffs and I still want to do the heavy stuff mixed with some mellow stuff as well. Now, according to Wylde, he's still friends with all the members of Guns N' Roses, saying we've opened for them with Black Label. And then we've got Book of Shadows stuff. We opened for Guns N' Roses at the Arizona Stadium, so I'm still buddies with all the guys, and everything is good, man. So Wylde was asked about what a Slash and Wylde combo in Guns N' Roses would have sounded like, and he told Gibson.com in 2015, it sounded like the riffs I write and the way I write mixed in with the way those guys write. You know what I mean? I mean, it would have been like when I was jamming with Slash and all the guys, even if I'm in the band, there's only one guy that plays the solos in November Rain and Sweet Child of Mine and all those classic songs. I'm not going to do anything there, but the future stuff we would have been writing, it would have been cool because I love Slash's playing and I'm buddies with him, and it would have been really cool, but with those guys, there was nothing happening, so we were just jamming, but it wasn't going anywhere. Turning now to some other news, so Trivium guitarist, I hope I'm saying this right, Corey Bailu, I'm not really a Trivium fan, but he revealed his favorite Slash solo. So during a conversation, during an interview he gave, he was asked about his favorite solo ever recorded by Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash. And he said the following, that Guns N' Roses was like my first band I ever got into. Off the top of my head, I always really liked the Night Train solo, and You Could Be Mine and Double Talk and Jive pretty much. You can take the solo from any solo off Appetite for Destruction, and it's classic. If I can remember right, Appetite was the first record I ever bought with my own money. And Guns N' Roses was the only band I knew about for really a couple of years when I was a kid, so I listened to that record to death. It was my first band I got into that got me into rock and metal, and that was the gateway to learning about Metallica and Megadeth. And I went from there, all the thrash stuff, to Maiden, to death metal and everything like that. I still have a fondness for GNR, and still haven't seen the reunion yet, so hopefully I'll be able to catch that someday. That concludes today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe.